Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us for the Katy Area Chamber's Surviving the Stresses of COVID-19 webinar. We are pleased to have Dr. Karen Jaggers with us today, and I'll give you a quick bio on her. Dr. Jaggers holds a Bachelor of Science in Human Services, a Master's in Mental Health Counseling, and a Doctorate in Clinical Psychology. She is a National Board Certified Counselor. Dr. Jaggers is also a member of the American Counseling Association, American Mental Health Counselors Association, and Association of Professional Behavioral Analysts. She's a certified professional life coach, professional family mediator, and a certified parenting coordinator. Dr. Jaggers has dedicated the past 20 years of her life to helping families and individuals. She is well known in the Houston area as a disability advocate, behavior and educational consultant, speaker, and group leader specializing in autism spectrum disorders and challenges related to disabilities. Dr. Jaggers is co-founder and past president of Katy Autism Support, a past member of the Katy ISD Special Education Advisory Committee, and a past board of director for Easter Seals of Houston. Dr. Jaggers is also one of the board members for the Katy Area Chamber, and we're proud to have her. With that, Karen, if you don't mind, we'll let you start your presentation.
Good morning. Thanks, Matthew. That's a big introduction. Hi, I'm Dr. Karen Jaggers, and I just wanted to talk with everybody today about the stressors that everyone is going through with COVID-19. Our phones are ringing at my office with more people than ever wanting to talk to therapists because it's very stressful being stuck in your house and homeschooling your children and working full time and worrying about COVID-19 all at the same time. So I just wanted to put together a PowerPoint for you guys, and let's get started. The first thing I would suggest that you can do to help with your being home is to create some structure in your day. You know, whether we're working or whether it's our kids who are in school, everybody is used to having a structure at least Monday through Friday. And right now there is no structure, and all the days just kind of bleed into, you don't know if it's Wednesday or if you don't know if it's Saturday. So we're all used to having a great deal of structure in our days. If we could, having structure, it provides a sense of control over your lives, particularly when you're stressed, and particularly for children. So a lot of times, right now, the parents are telling me that they're having struggles with their children getting all their work done or all their chores done. So one of the things I've suggested to them is to create a blank schedule and have slots in it, and then cut out inserts for those slots, write down all the different things that you need to do for the day, and let your child choose, or you choose if it's for yourself, which order you want to complete those tasks. And I think you'll find that the children feel like they have some sense of control over their day by doing that. And because I think a lot of things feel out of control for them right now. That's what I'm hearing from kids. So if they can pick the order of the task, they do it, everything will still get done, but it'll be a lot less battle. Social isolation. Well, that is the big topic right now. It's hard for all of us to not be able to leave our houses except for critical areas. I'm encouraging people to Skype with their friends. The children, I'm asking them to Skype with their grandparents, aunts and uncles and cousins. I've got a number of my clients, I have asked them to create a questionnaire for their relatives, and they're calling and they're Skyping and interviewing each of their relatives one at a time. What did you want to be when you grew up? You know, what was your first job? Things like that. And it's really created some great conversations between relatives. And it's also helped these kids to be able to get to know their relatives even better than they already do by asking these interesting questions. It serves a twofold purpose because it also has them socializing more. And so I think that's part of it is, you know, they can't get out and play. So if we can create more opportunities for them to socialize with people, even if it's on Skype, I think that's better. Now that also applies to us adults. I personally have set up a number of evening Skypes with friends of mine every week now, just to be able to connect with people that I usually see. And I've had lots of people talk about having Skype happy hours and Skype dinners, and some people were even having Skype prom in one area. And so, you know, I think that we just need to get really creative in how we battle our social isolation right now. One of the things that kids right now really want to do, screen time, screen time, screen time. And one of the suggestions I have is to make a list of chores and of the different projects and chores you want done, and then assign each one a minute value. And your children can earn extra screen time by doing those chores. It not only gets them to accomplish some things, but it gives them what they want, which is probably more screen time, but they also feel accomplished by having done something. So it's a win-win for everyone. I've also suggested to contact your friends who have kids and see if you can set up some Skype dates for your kids. I've got kids who are calling their friend, and they both decide they're going to watch a certain movie that's going to be on TV, and they turn on the movie and they turn on their iPad and they talk to each other while they watch the movie together. So that has been very successful. It's not as great as being there in person, but it certainly is better than feeling completely isolated. Cabin fever is real. Yes, it absolutely is real. We're in the 1 month phase now, and we are definitely seeing in our practice a lot of these symptoms coming up with people. The most prominent one that we have seen is sleep patterns being disrupted. So symptoms of cabin fever are far worse than just being stuck at home. So some of these symptoms are restlessness or lethargy, decrease in motivation, difficulty concentrating, irritability, lack of patience, irregular sleep patterns, too much or too little sleep. Our circadian rhythm is what controls our sleep schedule, and we're inside, it's all blurring together right now, and we're inside, and so our circadian rhythms are getting more and more out of whack, and I'm hearing more and more friends tell me that they are up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So the irregular sleep patterns could be too much sleep, too little sleep, or difficulty waking up or difficulty going to sleep. And then the biggest is we are definitely seeing an increase in sadness, anxiety, or depression. I think it's really appropriate right now to be sad. So I asked my clients, are you depressed or are you sad? Because there's a difference. Depressed is more of a clinical situation, where sad could be very appropriate. I think it's very appropriate for there to be some degree of sadness right now with people because of all the uncertainty that we're going through. So what you must do in order to combat this is to have a routine and to get up and shower and get dressed every morning, just like you were going to work or school. If you wear makeup, do your makeup to your hair, and then to eat healthy recipes. Don't use this as an excuse just to eat unhealthy food. I'll admit that the first week that we were doing this, the stuff I ate, was not good. And then finally I was like, okay, we can't keep eating like this. We do have access to healthy food from the stores. We have vegetables and fruits and fresh food. And so we don't have to eat the ravioli and beefaroni every single day. I would really encourage everybody to take this as an opportunity to cook more and eat better, because now we certainly have a lot of time on our hands. So I think that, we don't want to use this as an excuse to just eat unhealthy food all the time. Get some fresh air and exercise every day. This will definitely help you feel less restricted. Walk the dog, just go take a walk around the neighborhood. My husband and we are sitting in our patio every single night for like 30 minutes, and it's become part of a routine. It's kind of interesting because we've lived at our house for a little over 3 years, and we never sit on the patio at night. And now we look at each other and say, why haven't we done this before? This is really pleasant, and we really enjoy it. So just getting some fresh air every day will really make a difference. If you're feeling really cooped up, I have gotten in my car and just gone for a drive. I'm socially distancing. I'm not seeing anyone, but I'm just driving around, because you do kind of feel like at a point that you're really kind of trapped in your house. So if you feel like that, maybe your family, y'all can go for a drive and just not go to a specific place. But I've had a lot of people suggest do that. Unplugging. Don't spend excessive time watching COVID news. Absolutely. People can get really stuck on this, and just in times of national crisis, just like 911, everyone was glued to the TV day and night. And that definitely is an issue that we're seeing with some of our clients, that they are watching the COVID news constantly, and that cannot be healthy for anybody, and it will just increase your stress. And it also increases just your inability to function and do anything, because you just become so overwhelmed by watching the news all the time. The next one would be to stay connected and socially engaged. There's lots of ways to do that. I just talked about all the video chatting. Yes, we actually can use our telephone to talk and not just text. And then gaming. Our kids love to game, and some adults love to game too. But I have a lot of people that are I'm encouraging them to set up multiplayer games I believe you can set up multiplayer games between people that know each other. And so, or parents, you can learn to play Mario Kart with your kids. But just something other than just constantly letting them watch the TV would be highly recommended. Feeling accomplished. This is another thing that will help you while we're locked down here, to do something productive. Not think all or nothing here, but just pick, today I'm going to clean out one drawer, and that's it. And it may seem like a really small task to do, to clean out one drawer, but when you say I'm going to clean out the whole dresser, then that's overwhelming. So, one drawer at a time will still get it done, and at the end of the week, your dresser will be clean. So try to pick just one small area of your house every day and work on it. And at the end of this event, we will all have really nice, clean houses that are more organized, and we will also feel like we've accomplished stuff. To be mindful, being mindful is being present in the moment, and just to really take the time to see and hear and appreciate what's around you right now. I know sitting out on our patio the other day, I saw butterflies I don't usually see, and blue jays, and it was just a beautiful day. And thank goodness, for most of the time that we have been locked down, we have had really beautiful weather. So that has worked to our advantage, so that we could spend some time sitting outside. Being active. Another thing you need to do, of course, is to do something every day just to get your heart rate elevated. It's real easy to lay on a sofa all day and watch that TV. And if we could all just make an effort to be active for even 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, we will be happy we did that at the end. And then being proactive, try to think of things that you will be glad you did later. So, what are projects that you might want to do at home? What are routines you might want to set up? Maybe it's learning how to cook a different type of food. Maybe it's starting to exercise, but start doing something now that you can bring with you into the after of this, that you'll be glad you did. Sleep problems equal big trouble. Yes, sleep problems is one of the major complaints we're getting right now in my practice. The lack of routine, as I mentioned earlier, it disrupts your circadian rhythms, and that creates irregular sleep patterns, which also creates mood swings, which also creates risky and dangerous behavior. You can actually get so sleep deprived that you hallucinate, and I don't know if most people know that, but you can. And so there is, and you can have very big mood swings. You can have suicidal thoughts if it just goes too far. But I am talking to some teenagers in my practice that I've talked to, and they're like, oh yeah, I stayed up to 6 o'clock in the morning and gaming, and then I slept for 2 hours, and now I had to wake up again to go to school. And so please make sure your kids are getting some adequate sleep. Teenagers and kids should try to strive for 10 hours of sleep, and adults should really be striving for 8 hours of sleep. But the disruption of your circadian rhythms really is messing with people, and I know there's a number of things on the market that you can pick up that are vitamins and stuff that might be able to help sleep aid. But having some non-caffeinated hot tea at night, or taking a hot bath at night. And also the biggest thing you can do to get your sleep patterns in sync would be to have a routine. So then your body remembers a routine and remembers that after we do A, B, and C, then we go to bed. So sleep is one of the primary methods that our bodies use to repair ourselves. And so it's very crucial that we get enough sleep and in order to keep ourselves healthy, which is so important right now. So please make sure that you and your family are both all getting adequate sleep. Working from home strategies. Well, this is a real challenge for a lot of people because not only are we working from home, but we're also homeschooling our children. One of my first suggestions would be to designate a workspace for you so that when you go to that space, it'll be, okay, now I'm putting on my work hat. So it's easier to stay focused if you have a certain area that you go to work in, and try to make it as comfortable as possible. So you like being there. And then set boundaries with your family and make sure they know when you need privacy, whether you tell them we need between these certain hours I can't be disturbed, or whether it be when I have this hanging on my door or a do not disturb sticky on my door, it means you can't come in and ask me for cookies. So setting boundaries is really important. I would once again, maintaining a consistent routine is really important, and a consistent work schedule. Avoid the trap of working from home too much. You know, there's a saying where they say the problem with working from home is you never leave work. And I think a lot of people have struggled with that. I hear a lot of my clients that are adults telling me that they're working now more than they've ever worked before. And I think that's because work is at home. And so it's so easy to just walk back in and sit on that computer and take care of more things. So please don't burn yourselves out on that, and please try to set regular work schedules and not work too much from home. Communicate clearly with your coworkers and make efforts to connect with your colleagues. You know, it's so easy when you're talking to somebody to understand what they mean, but a lot of time it gets lost in text messages and emails. And so it's really important to maintain those relationships with your coworkers and to make sure that they understand clearly what your intent is with your emails and your text. And then take frequent breaks and make time for lunch. It's another thing that I'm hearing from a lot of clients. I'm hearing that they sit at their office and they don't leave at all. They don't get up, they don't go to the restroom, they don't get something to drink, they completely forget lunch. So once again, this is because we're all out of our routine. But if you could take frequent breaks and make sure and block a lunchtime into your schedule. And then don't lose sight of the big picture, that we will be back to our offices sometime soon, and we will have more regular working schedules soon. I think it's real important for us to remember that we all have a lot of pressures as adults right now. And, you know, people are worried about their jobs and people are worried about paying their rent and all those things. But I do really want to point out that our children really are struggling too. And I think that's important for us to be mindful of. They're really missing their friends and their relatives. And believe it or not, there are more kids than not are telling me they really are missing school. So they've got a loss of structure, and most of them don't have a normal routine right now. Right now, it seems to be a free-for-all. But then they are noticing when their parents are stressed and worried. And when you're having family financial struggles, I mean, they're hearing it. And a lot of times, maybe you don't realize they're listening, but just be mindful of when you talk about certain things that could be really scary to them, because when they see their parents stressed and worried, then they get stressed and worried because they count on parents to be their stability. And if mom and dad are really upset, then that rocks their world. Seeing and hearing the scary COVID-19 news. You know, there seems like there's very few things on the news of good news right now. It seems like most of the things we're seeing are this many people have died and this many people are sick, and here are the worst areas. And while those things are definitely true, you know, Houston is doing very well. And I'd like for our Houston news to maybe focus a little bit more on how well we're doing, because I think that these kids are watching the news and it just looks like the end of the world to them. And, you know, they've never been through this. So we've never been through this. But it's very scary to kids. They don't always understand it at the level an adult does. And so, you know, just make an effort to give your kids, you know, more cuddles, more one-on-one time, and a lot of patience, forgiveness, and grace right now, because I think they are trying to do the best they can. I think we're all trying to do the best we can, but children really are struggling too.
Hey, Karen, before you proceed,
Uh-huh.
we do have a few questions, if
Okay.
you don't mind.
Sure.
I'm going to go with the first one. It says, I have a special needs child, and without services in school, I find it impossible to do my job and help my child manage their behaviors. Do you have any specific tips on that?
Um, I don't offhand. You're welcome to email me and discuss specifically what's going on, and I'll do what I can to provide you some insight onto that. But I think it's incredibly hard right now, especially for the parents who have the special needs child, to be trying to manage their child, which is going to need all their attention. And it has to be incredibly hard to do that and try to do your job at the same time. But I'll be happy to respond to them via email.
Okay, I'll make sure I grab their email and bring it
Okay.
to you. Another question real quick. Your feeling accomplished slide. It was great, but is there a way to encourage teenagers to want to do things to feel accomplished, or is it earning screen time that is the only option for certain kids? They're saying their child is usually successful at school, but has been refusing to do anything that is optional.
Yes, we're seeing a lot of that right now. I think that yeah, there's a lot of kids who are refusing to do their schoolwork right now, and I would look and see, what motivates your child, what's important to them, and I have a slide that's coming up that talks about some strategies for setting that up.
Okay. All right. Feel free to proceed.
Okay, on to empowering your kids. It's easy right now for our kids to feel a loss of control in their world, and right here I was talking about providing your children with chores, even if they didn't have them, but giving them some chores to do will make them feel more accomplished. They may not be happy about it, but the end result really will be a positive one because it will help them to feel that they have contributed to the household, that they have met some goals. And one of the things, one of the complaints I get traditionally with parents when I'm doing counseling is that, they argue a lot about their kids getting their chores done. So what I tell them to do is I say, what I'd like you to do is tell your children what they have to do and what time it has to be done by, instead of constantly saying, can you do this? Have you done this? Have you done this? Because that just sets up the parents and the child to be in conflict. So if you'll set it up to where this is what they have to do and it has to be done by this time, the rule is mom and dad can't ask them about their chores until it's 7 o'clock at night. And if that's the time that was agreed on, and then at 7 o'clock at night, if their chores are done, you know, um, the parents can't say anything, and or if their chores aren't done, the parents can then the rules don't apply, and then the parents have to go back to reminding them. But kids really can't stand it when their parents are constantly asking them, "Did you do this? Did you do this? Did you pick up the laundry?" And so I have found it's really effective to give them the opportunity to do it by a certain deadline. And I would say probably at least 75% of the time that is successful. And then your child will do the work ahead of time and you're happy because you're not constantly having to ask them to do the work. So that works very well. I would really recommend that. It also gives them the feeling of personal responsibility, and it helps their confidence and shows them that they are able to do things independently without being constantly reminded to do so. Um, so this also, like I said, helps the children feel like they have more power and control over their lives. Disciplining children. Okay, grounding a child in a time like this is irrelevant. They are already grounded. And I've been reminded by that by numerous high schoolers in the last week. So what I ask my clients to do is to set up a contract with your kids that clearly spells out all the expectations of what you want. And in the contract, it says, these are what our expectations are. And the next to that expectation will say, if this expectation is not met, this is what the consequence is. But if the consequence, if it is met, then this is what the reward is. So and put it in writing and make everybody signs it. Mom, dad signs it, the kid signs it, everybody signs it. That way they know clearly what the expected behaviors are, and they can't say they don't know what the repercussions are if they don't do it, but they also know that they also feel really empowered that they have a list of what reward they could get if the contract is followed. So in the grounding thing, the most effective when you ground a kid for like a week or 2 weeks or something, it really doesn't work because it's so long. The kids are like, well, what the heck? I'm already grounded. I mean, it's just very hard for a child to be able to behave for a week like that. They just kind of tend to think it's pointless because they think that's just, they're going to mess up at some point. And so it's far more encouraging for a child to have today's behavior determine tomorrow's privileges. So if you have a good day today, then tomorrow you get these privileges. But if you don't have a good day today, then you're going to lose the privileges for tomorrow. But this way, it gives them 24, they know that with the next 24 hours, they can completely redeem themselves for the following 24 hours. So I really like the 24-hour rule. There are still plenty of things that you can be doing that do not involve electronics. Yes, please, please, please limit screen time. I understand that parents have to work from home, and I understand that there's very few things for kids to do, and I understand that people are using more screen time right now, and why your kid would be having more screen time gaming. But it's real important to remember that it's going to be very hard when we have to pull back the screen time. It is going to be harder than anyone expects to limit these devices again. When they get used to playing 10 hours of video games a day, and you suddenly tell them they're going to play an hour or two, it's going to really cause a lot of behavior problems. So these are some of the suggestions I had to do in lieu of just being on electronics, is making memories together, and we certainly have plenty of opportunities for that. Clean out your closets to donate to a local charity. Look at the home projects list and see if there's something on that you can do. There are so many life skills that you need that are not taught in school. And I hear that all the time from my college freshmen when they go, no one taught me how to do my taxes. No one taught me how to do a checkbook. No one taught me how to do my laundry. And while a lot of parents teach those things, a lot of parents don't. So this is a perfect opportunity while we're all home. Teach your kids to do the laundry. If your kids are in junior high, they should be doing their own laundry. They really should. Your high schoolers, junior and senior year, they should be able to take care of everything, because that's how senior year needs to be. Your senior year, you can prove to me that you're able to be independent, because the reason kids are flunking out of school their freshman year isn't as much about partying, it's as much about not being able to manage themselves, because they aren't used to having to be personally responsible for everything. So take this great opportunity here to teach your kids all the things they need to know. Teach them to cook. My kids, when they're in junior high, they had to start cooking one meal a week for us. So I happily had macaroni and cheese with cut up hot dogs more than once for my son. But I ate it with a smile on my face because he cooked it and he was so proud that he could cook it. So a lot of things I'm hearing from people are family games. Charades and Pictionary are huge. Puzzles are huge right now. Write a family story. Okay, the family story is one person gets a page and starts, and they write a sentence, and then they pass it to the next person, and then they add a sentence, and the story just keeps evolving, and it goes around and around. So that's a really fun thing. I've had a lot of families that I've suggested that to like that. How about journaling about this event that's going on? I think that this is something we've never experienced before, and I think that if our kids could journal some about it, it might be interesting to look back on later. Learn how to cook new things, and walk your dog. We have a lot of dogs that are happy right now because everybody's home and they're getting walked a lot. Or how about adopting a pet from a local shelter? I think most local shelters are desperately looking for people to adopt right now. Okay, how will this be remembered? This is really interesting because we get to choose how this will be remembered. We particularly get to choose how our kids remember it. And, it's all in your perspective. Do we want to look at the left side and say, okay, do you want your kids to look back on this time and say, oh yeah, there were lots of people dying? There's a difference between lots of people dying or we stayed home to keep people safe. It's really the same thing, but it's all in how it's phrased. It's all in the perspective. So we were stuck in the house for weeks versus we stayed home but made lots of family memories. Really, especially the younger kids and stuff, they can remember this as while it was a scary time, we had lots of family time together. So just remember that we do get to control to a large part how our kids remember this. I put in a hierarchy of mental health needs. I thought that this was good. I think it's important that the very top one is hope. I think that is what everybody needs, is hope. And I know that our country is on it, and every country seems to be working towards this. So that is something that we definitely need to express to our kids. Some of them are very worried. Some of them think it's the end of the world. So make sure you talk to your kids and see what their thoughts are about what's going on with this right now. Maintaining a sense of humor, of course, is always essential. Self-care and self-compassion, healthy relationships, coping strategies, sleep, and then once again, having a support system. Limit watching the news. I talked about this earlier. These are really uncertain times, and we really have not ever experienced anything like this. But so when you take a high-profile world event and then you add the excessive news coverage, it is going to increase everyone's stress. So I think that you have to acknowledge this to your children, because they're going to hear about it on the TV or social media, so we can't really keep it from them. So keep them informed, but don't allow them to constantly be researching on the internet. Some of these kids that I'm talking to, they're spending an awful lot of time researching and watching YouTube videos on this and people dying and stuff. And I'm sure we can all think about how that can affect everyone's mood. So, see what your kids are watching. Make sure your kids aren't constantly Googling YouTube videos of the tragedy of this event. I understand it's interesting, but it definitely will affect their mood. And then reaching out for support. We're so fortunate to be in the Katy community, and we have so many resources. There's so many local resources. Katy Christian Ministries, I know, is one of the top resources we have. And if they can't help you, they can at least send you to someone who can help you if you need some assistance. And remembering that we're all in this together, and that Katy has survived hard times before. This is a little different in that when we had the hurricane a few years back, it was really horrible, and it was this really big event, but it had an end to it. And so right now, I think one of the things that we struggle with is the uncertainty of when this is going to end for us. So, but I think we do have to remember, I'm very proud of our community and how well we've come together trying to help each other through this. So, we've survived this, and we'll survive this one, and reach out to people for that. Communicate with your family and friends often. What positive things can we take away from this experience? I one time watched a show, and they said it was a world leader, and he said, I don't know what it's going to take for the world to finally come to peace with each other. It may be an alien invasion. It may be, it may be an illness. And well, he was right. And he said this like 10 years ago. But it has kind of created where we're all in this together. So, what positive things can we take from this experience? I've found people saying that after this, they're not going to have 5 activities per kid, and that they're going to start having family dinner time. Many families, their kids are going in so many different directions, they don't have time to have family dinner time. And they'll tell me, I can't remember the last time we all sat down to dinner. It's been years. And people are really loving that. So I think that after this, we're going to see a shift towards less busy schedules and more family time, and a higher priority of our free time. And I think we are all enjoying to spend time at home more than we have in the past. And this is a great opportunity for us to take the time to evaluate what we want to continue with once this is over, and what things we might want to let go of. Once again, create hope. Focus on the positives. When I was talking about the world leader, and he said, but look at the positives now. I mean, we do have less wars right now. Our environment is doing well. There seems to be less division and hate right now in our country, and there's certainly been a surge of appreciating first responders. And I think we have a new appreciation for a lot of the people who make our lives easy for us, whether it be the farmers or the truckers or the grocery store people. I think that there's a new appreciation and new respect for a lot of people, and I'm hoping that carries on into the future. I think it will. And then just remember that we're all in this together. You know, we're united in a way right now that we've never been, and we're all fighting a common enemy. And it's affecting all of us. All of us are at risk. And, you know, I'd like to hope that we can all realize that we have more that brings us together than what we have that divides us. And I really truly hope that we will emerge from this a kinder and more compassionate world. And then perspective, I had somebody say this to me the other day. You know, Katie's a very fortunate community, and how lucky are we that during the global pandemic, we're sitting safely in our homes and we're reading and we're working and our kids are going to school and we get to talk to our loved ones and we're sitting in air conditioned buildings and we have fresh food and water available. And there's plenty of people in the world that are going through this right now that don't have any of this. So I think we do need to keep in perspective that while this is a tragedy, that we are fortunate to have what we have here in our community. Okay, now I'm on for questions.
If any of our attendees have any further questions, please feel free to type them up in the webinar chat, and we will get them to Dr. Jaggers. And we'll keep this line open for the next few minutes for them to come through. For anybody that has missed this presentation or joined in late or had to leave early for another meeting or appointment, this webinar was recorded and will be available on the Chamber's YouTube page, as well as our website and social media pages.
I'm looking for there it is. It's got my email if anybody would like to personally send me a question that I could respond to for them.
There you go. Well, Karen, thank you so much for your time today. I mean,
absolutely.
The content and the information you provided. Oh, we just had one come in. Is it okay to just stop crisis schooling if we don't see any value in it?
Well, that would be a question for the school district.
Right. Yeah.
I definitely have a number of students who it's a problem right now that they're refusing to do their work. So, you know, it's not worth going to summer school for. We've got one more month of school. You know, I don't think that they're just going to give them a pass if they don't do their work. So,
Right.
but that's probably a question for the school district. But the perspective I've given my students is that, you know, if you flunk the very last 6 weeks, that would be a shame, because I'd hate for you to have to do a whole summer of summer school. Well, thank everybody for coming today. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you again, Karen.
Sure.
If there are any other questions, either feel free to reach out to Dr. Jaggers directly with the information you see on your screen, or reach out to the chamber to get in touch with her if you don't. We will be hosting weekly webinars. We are trying to put at least 2 or 3 webinars a week out with updates and information, important information to our community. And this content that Dr. Jaggers provided is very, very mindful, hits home. It affects everybody. We're all in the same situation. So we're here to support you. If there's something we're doing, please feel free to give the chamber a chat or Dr. Jaggers specifically. So thank you everybody today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.